Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I do all kinds of lifestyle videos. I do a lot of vlogs and some budgeting videos, but this one was actually requested on, I think, my weight loss video or a vlog, I don't remember, but I'll link my weight loss video if you're interested in where I'm at. I'm basically in the middle of my weight loss. I had talked about my annoyance, hatred, upsetness at Weight Watchers, and I wanted to kind of talk through why, because I had quite a few people reach out saying that they had also really struggled with Weight Watchers, and I kind of wanted to go through today why that is, why it didn't work for me, why I don't think that it's like a healthy system in general. Looking down, because I'm looking at my phone, I took some notes. I want to tell you just a tiny bit of my story with Weight Watchers, like how much I've used it, if I've had any success, that kind of thing. I will tell you a few things that I do like about it, because I don't think it's all bad, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of why it's not my favorite. Let's get started. If you can hear Ben in the background, he's on a call and he tends to talk a little bit too loud, and Ivy's on her nap, so we're trying to work through with what I've got, but let's get started. First of all, when it comes to like my Weight Watchers story, I think the first time I did Weight Watchers technically was back in like 2012, maybe. One of the first ways I was trying to lose weight out of college, and I wasn't even using actual Weight Watchers at the time. I don't think they had an app or anything like that. You had to do like in-person meetings, which was just like not my vibe. But a friend of mine had like basically like a back end way of using the Weight Watchers point system with like a spreadsheet that she set up. So I did use that, if you can count that as Weight Watchers. But then if you fast forward a little bit, I've done Weight Watchers a little bit here and there throughout the years. In the last 4-ish years, when I've been trying to actively lose weight on and off, I have fallen into the Weight Watchers bucket more times than I would like to admit. I've had a little bit of success with it, I'm not gonna lie. There's been some weight that I've been able to lose, which I think is why I've kept doing it. The one thing I think with Weight Watchers that makes it easy to grasp onto is a lot of times you lose weight quickly because you're making these big changes with your diet and lifestyle in general. And one of the things I'll talk about in my what I didn't like part is you tend to be fairly low calorie. It's easy to lose weight when you're fairly low calorie. So I did do it quite a few times just because I was seeing a little bit of success. But the thing was, it was just initial success. I would see a little bit of success for like the first few weeks, a month. I think I even did videos at the beginning of the year because I was doing well with Weight Watchers right outside of breastfeeding, but they give you so much more points when you're breastfeeding, which I'll talk about again later. So I didn't feel as deprived in general of food, and I was still losing weight while I was eating a good amount of food. So that's kind of why I kept going back to it. I was having these little successes, and it would like trigger in my brain like, oh my gosh, I need to do this because I can lose weight fast with Weight Watchers, when really that wasn't the case. I could lose it quickly maybe for a couple weeks, and then I would either plateau or gain it all back. So some of the things that I do like about Weight Watchers, I have their scale, and I really like their scale. It's one of those scales that like measures your overall body fat, all that stuff. I know that it's not like exact, but it was interesting to learn about. Within the app, it kind of told you where things were at, where your body fat was at, where your like bone density, your weight, obviously. But the one thing that sucks with that is like once you stop using Weight Watchers, it's basically obsolete. I can't use the app anymore. I can't see where my stats are at. So I wish I would have just bought one of those types of scales that just have that information versus using the Weight Watchers specific, because now I have this scale that tells me all this stuff, but I can't see any of the like graphs or whatever on my app. And going back to the app, I really do enjoy the Weight Watchers app. I think that it is really user-friendly. It's easy to find foods. It's easy to input foods. It's much easier to use, nicer interface than like MyFitnessPal or something like that if you're using it. So I really did enjoy the app. That's probably the thing that I'm gonna miss the most, is using the app, because I thought it was easy. You could be at a store and quickly scan something, which you can do with MyFitnessPal, but now you have to pay for it. in order to do the scanning, and it's just like annoying. I did really enjoy using the app, and within the app there was a really good community, so you could join different community groups. So like you could join a new mom group, or women with thyroid issues, or women over 35, or men, or whatever you fit into. You could join any of those types of groups, and it was just a nice way to like see other people that were in similar stages of life to you and how they were doing on the Weight Watchers game. The other thing that really got me interested, honestly, was YouTube. There's just so many people who are trying to lose weight who are using Weight Watchers on YouTube, and I thought that it would be an interesting way to connect with you guys, to connect with like a audience that was interested in talking about bettering yourself and feeling healthier. We'll get into why I don't think that that's actually what was happening for me. Now, I will say I still watch at least one person that does Weight Watchers, and I love her videos. Couldn't connect with them because I couldn't eat the same things that they were, which again, I'll talk about in a minute, but I did really enjoy being able to watch other people doing the same type of thing. I think if you're watching people that are like calorie counting or eating gluten-free or eating like whatever way that you eat, it's just interesting to see other people that are eating the same way as you. So it was like twofold. It was good because I saw all these people on YouTube and I like wanted to be a part of that community, but then at the same time, I didn't actually end up fitting that mold, if that makes sense. So with that, let's move into why I don't think that Weight Watchers is a good program for long-term weight loss and wellness. A couple of the big things for me, first of all, there's no human touch when it comes to calories. So I mentioned this, I got like a ton of points when I was breastfeeding, and as soon as I stopped breastfeeding or started weaning, it literally cut my points in half. No other nutritionist, fitness coach, anybody that is like understands calories, even if you go from breastfeeding to not breastfeeding, is going to cut your calories in half. They're not going to do that. They're going to slowly bring down your calories in general. Basically, the app took like 500 to 700 calories away from me a day, like that. Like there was no gradual anything, and that is so bad for your metabolism. Even if you take breastfeeding out of it, just dropping your calories that quickly in general is just like not good for your metabolism, for your overall health. You're gonna be hungry. If you're somebody like me who has a background with like overeating, you're gonna overeat, you're gonna binge a little bit because you just went from yesterday I could have 700 more calories to today I'm supposed to just cut that. Like that's a lot to cut. If it was just like 100 or like 50 calories or something like that, even if they brought you down slowly, but to cut you that quickly is insane to me. And that was like a big thing for me, is I was doing well on the like breastfeeding points and even on the like partial breastfeeding points, but they literally cut me from like 45 points to 21 points in like a day. Insane. I think another thing with Weight Watchers that you have to look at is if you look at the people even online who are talking about Weight Watchers, so many of them go back to Weight Watchers. Now, it's different if you like have a baby, you gain a bunch of weight, you lose it with Weight Watchers, you get pregnant again, you gain a bunch of weight and you lose it with Weight Watchers, something like that. But if you look at people outside of the pregnancy community, there are so many people, and even within the app, like I was talking about those groups, I saw so many people that were like starting up Weight Watchers again. This is my 6th time, because they lose weight, they stop using the app, because I'm sorry, no one can use an app constantly every day for the rest of their life. That's just like too much, especially if you're like a busy mom or working person or anything. Like it's a lot to be doing that all the time, knowing exactly what you can and can't eat, and then like never getting food out or being really strict with your food. Nobody can do that forever. That's why when so many people, they lose the last 10 pounds, they go off of Weight Watchers, and within a couple of months, maybe a year, they gain it all back plus some, because Weight Watchers doesn't teach you overall good eating habits for the most part. Now, I will say, I don't want to like totally say poo-poo on them that they're terrible, But so some of the things, like their 0 point foods, at least for the program that I was doing now, I feel like they change their programs all the time, so it might be different whenever you're watching this video. But they had like lower fat protein, so like chicken, low fat turkey, like 99% lean turkey, not even 93, like 99% lean turkey, deli turkey meat, eggs, most and all fruits and vegetables were 0 points. Like tofu, I think, was 0 points. A couple of beans were 0 points. So I think that that's good because those are whole healthy foods, and I think that that is teaching people good habits, like fill up on the 0 point foods. And I do think that that's like what Weight Watchers tells people, that they're like teaching you good habits. And like I said, that is a good habit. But then if you take a sneak peek at the influencers that they're sharing, at the Weight Watchers food that they sell, it's not whole food based foods, if you know what I mean. There's quite a bit of packaged food in there, which is what I'll get into in just a second. So many people go back to Weight Watchers, and I understand like there's gonna be peaks and valleys in your weight loss journey throughout your life, but if you don't always want to be losing weight, if you want to be like at a point in your life where you are maintaining and eating intuitively, I don't believe in intuitive eating, I'm talking about just like eating normally without diets and fads and all that stuff in your head all the time, a point system that is very specific about the types of foods that you can and can't eat, aka low fat foods, which are not necessarily bad, but like if you ever eat a high fat food like an avocado or peanut butter or a nut, healthy foods, anything like that, it's higher point, and then you know, it's poo-pooed on. That's not what you should be eating. And that's what I'm going to jump into next, is the overall point system in general. So as someone that tries to eat a mostly whole food diet, if you watch my videos, you know that that's not true. I mean, I think in my last video I ate, like, I go out to eat, I get Uber Eats, I eat packaged foods every now and then, sometimes more than every now and then. But in general, I try to eat some whole food. I just think that it's ridiculous that you can't, I mean, you can, but you can use all of your extra points on eating like a quarter cup of pistachios or something like that that's going to keep you full. I just think that Weight Watchers in general promotes this like low fat eating, and they just do it in a way that you can't really tell unless you're somebody that normally eats higher fat, which is what I do. If you don't know, I am mostly gluten-free, mostly dairy-free. So with those things, it's very difficult to work with Weight Watchers because all of the like gluten-free, dairy-free options are higher in point. If you look at like a dairy-free ice cream, a dairy-free yogurt, a dairy-free sour cream, a dairy-free milk, even like an almond milk or something like that, tend to be higher point, oat milk, something like that. And then if you look at some of the treats for gluten-free, like gluten-free food, I don't know if you've ever seen gluten-free bread. The pieces of bread are about this big, okay? And one piece of gluten-free bread was like 4 points. Whereas you can eat 1,500 ingredient food list bread that's 45 calories a slice and eat it for 1 point. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's like this hierarchy of like, if first of all, if you have any food intolerances, it's like almost impossible to do Weight Watchers, I believe. And then if you even take that out of it, if you just like want to eat better for you food, you're gonna use up all of your points, all of your extra points. If you're not eating like low fat milk, low fat cheese, packaged food, if you look at all of the food that Weight Watchers sells, like the Weight Watchers brand, it's got 15 ingredients on the side. You can't even understand what half of the words mean, but it's a low fat protein brownie that's like full of a whole bunch of junk. But I could make a homemade brownie and it would be like 15 points for one this big, but I could go and eat Weight Watchers 75 ingredient that they sell and it's magically 0 points or 1 point. It just like makes no sense to me. I felt like I couldn't eat anything. For example, a Go Macro bar, like a protein bar. There's like oats in it. It's all organic. It's all whole foods. Obviously, it's a packaged food, so there is some processing to it, obviously. But one of those bars, 280 calories, 14 points. More points in that than a candy bar in some senses. And that makes zero sense to me, because that's gonna keep me more full. It's gonna make me feel better than having like a Milky Way or a Snickers, even though those taste great. How does that make sense? Any other like vegan or dairy-free or like nut bar, like Kind bars that have nuts in them, insanely high point. But you could eat like, I don't know, some super high processed bar, but if it's low fat, you're in a good spot, and it's 0 points with, or 1 point with Weight Watchers. I think the options for Weight Watchers are good for people that want to continue eating the standard American diet. And I'm really hoping that I'm not offending anyone here. I'm really not trying to be judgmental. If that's the way that you eat, if that's the way that you can afford to eat, by all means, if Weight Watchers works for you, that is so good, and I am so happy for you. I'm talking about the people like me that can't eat that way, that like in general, it affects my overall health. It affects my long-term health. It affects my chronic illness. It affects my migraines. It affects everything about me. I can't eat that way. I know what super processed foods do to your body, and I can't unknow that, you know? So like, I just can't push myself to eat that kind of food just because it's low point. So then when you look at how much calories I'm eating a day, if I, like, there were days where I would eat on Weight Watchers, I would use all of my points plus 10, and I ate 1,300 calories because I was eating a higher fat meal. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not okay to be teaching people that. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a way that Weight Watchers could like change it around for people that had maybe food intolerances or plant-based, or I don't know, like maybe not. Maybe Weight Watchers is just for people that eat like a low-fat, more processed diet, and that's okay. Like I said, standard American diet, there are millions of people that still eat that way, that can only afford to eat that way, and that is the way that it is. I just think you can't really be going into Weight Watchers believing that you're making a long-term lifestyle change. Is that gonna bother some people? I'm really struggling with this because I really don't want to offend anyone. I don't know, like I just don't think that long-term wellness can be found using the Weight Watchers app. I think short-term weight loss results can be found. I do think that some people can then learn how to eat that way and continue that throughout their life. I think that everybody eats differently, so I think that some people can eat a lower fat diet or like a higher processed diet and they feel totally fine on it, and that is great. But then there's a lot of people that can't, or a lot of people that have a history of eating disorder or something like that, and you know, they're doing the binge on and off with Weight Watchers, and it can just be such a ridiculously hard time. But anyway, I feel like I'm getting all up in my feels. Ivy just woke up, so I have to go get her. But let me know how you feel in the comments. Let me know if I upset you. I hope I didn't. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. This is just how I feel about it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.